Hello and welcome to Views on News. I'm Jawad. Tehami. In today's episode, we are going to take up for discussion three important developments. The first relates to Indian Defence Minister and Indian Army Chief's provocative statements against Pakistan. In the second segment, we are going to talk about the viability of the Gaza peace plan that has been put forth by US President Donald Trump and most particularly Pakistan and other Arab and Muslim countries' position regarding that. In the third segment, we are going to take Finance Minister's statement, which highlighted population growth and climate change as the main challenges confronting the country. So starting with the first one, the provocative statements which have come from both the Indian Defence Minister Rajnath Singh as well as Indian Army Chief. What Rajnath Singh has said, he has actually threatened Pakistan that Indian actions will change both Pakistan's history and geography. And he has also threatened Pakistan should remember that a road from Sir Creek leads all the way to Karachi. At the same time, Indian Army Chief has also threatened Pakistan by saying India's step forward towards Pakistan will make Pakistan think whether it wants to remain on the world map or not, claiming a so-called restraint during the Operation Sindoor. We'll try to dissect through these particular statements, these unfounded, unsubstantiated allegations which have been hurled by some of the top leaders from India. And there is a particular pattern on the part of the Indian top leadership. This is not the first instance that they have come up with such provocative statements for Pakistan. The facts, the recent history speaks otherwise. Who actually exercised the maximum restraint during Operation Marka-e-Haq when India tried to unleash its aggression against Pakistan? The kind of military build-up, the kind of investment in the military equipment, who is actually doing that, and also threatening to change the history and geography of an independent sovereign state. What does that actually indicate? In fact, it was Pakistan that actually changed the very course of history. It rewrote history when it gave a bloody nose to India in the recent past during the Marka-e-Haq. Let me quickly bring in our esteemed panel of guests to talk about these allegations, what sort of a mindset they are getting at this particular point in time as far as Indian top leadership is concerned. In the studio, we are honored to be joined by Mr. A. Marshal, retired Saeed Mohammed Khan. He is senior analyst. A. Marshal Khan, thank you very much for your time, for being with us on the show tonight. Really appreciate that. Also, at the same time, on the video link, we are honored to be joined by Mr. Shahid M.G. Kiani, his former ambassador. Mr. Kiani, thank you very much for your time also for being with us on the show tonight. We really appreciate that. What sort of a sense, Marshal Khan, do you make out of these provocative statements? What could be the possible purpose behind these statements? Indian Army Chief threatening Pakistan to wipe it from the world map. Also, Rajnath Singh claiming that so-called restraint was exercised by India. How do you look at this particular entire plethora of statements on the part of Indian leadership?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First of all, Tehami, thank you very much for inviting me to the program. I am very depressed after listening to these statements because this just shows the immaturity and the depressive mindset of the Indian leadership, both political as well as the military. Like you have said in your introduction, that we gave them a bloody nose in May 2025, and they are since then not been able to get over that incident. Pakistan has moved forward. There are so many important things to do internationally as well as nationally, and Pakistan is now looking after its own interests. But India is somewhere stuck in May 2025, and I think these statements are more for their own public consumption than for us, because BJP as a party and the Indian government as a whole are, they are being looked down by everybody all over the world as well as in India. So these statements are basically to just to bolster the morale of its people, and especially before the Bihar elections they want to do something. Uh, the month of October, in my view, Tehami, is going to be uh, a tricky month because they would like to do something to, get back into the game, like they say, and uh, have something to tell their people
Yeah,
that
Marshal,
okay,
that is exactly
look,
my point. When you specifically talk about this particular thing is being carried out by the Indian top leadership, the kind of statements which are coming with the unsubstantiated allegations. Now, it is for the domestic consumption, as you already mentioned, but at the same time, you're of the view that month of October is going to be tricky. We know for a fact India has been resorting to false flag operations, and on the pretext of those false flag operations, it had been trying to malign Pakistan on one hand and also unleashing its aggression against Pakistan, to which it was actually given a befitting response. So keeping in view that very particular pattern of Indian leadership, especially under Bharatiya Janata Party led by Bujur of Gujarat, so what do you anticipate this time around happening if it's going to be a tricky month? And does that view also stand at the same time that it's merely for the domestic consumption?
I think they would be. It would be highly irresponsible and I would say, I'll use the strong word, idiotic of them to be undertaking a false flag operation in these testing times. The whole world is at this very time busy. In Gaza and other issues that are surrounding the world, and nobody wants another war between two nuclear states. As another incident which is rumbling the major capitals of the world. I think it would be very stupid of them to do that, because if they do, they will again get a bloody nose, and then this cycle will never stop. Both the countries have, like I've said earlier too, important issues at hand. We have to improve and look after our own populace. There are other important things to be done in Pakistan, and the government of Pakistan is moved ahead of May 2025, and we are already making our mark on the world stage.
That clearly shows that it has become really difficult thing for them to digest, and they can't move on from that particular pivotal event in history, in fact. And that was a rewriting of history, in fact. That bloody nose, Pakistan was actually writing the history at that particular point in time in order to address that particular claim, which he has said that Indian actions are going to change both Pakistan's history and geography. I'll come to this particular part of that, how they are thinking to change Pakistan's geography, or what should we be anticipating, and actually how the things are going to change in favor of Pakistan as far as changes in terms of geographic means is concerned. Mr. Kiani, there is so much happening around the world. As already mentioned by Air Marshal Khan, there's so many things Pakistan is looking inwards as well, as far as dealing with the challenges at home, and also its greater influence and role as far as the major and pressing issues around the world are concerned. What do you think could be the motive behind these provocative statements at this particular point in time, given the timing of the events that are happening around the globe?
Thank you very much for inviting me on this show. If you look at the post-Pahalgam incident, what happened was, as far as the military action was concerned, that is a different, the defense action was different. They got a bloody nose, as you said. But on the other side, the post-Pahalgam, what happened was, it's a battle of narratives. In the battle of narratives, in which you will see the Pakistani delegation going abroad and the Indian also going abroad, in the battle of narratives, the truth prevailed, and regretfully for India, they lost this battle of narrative. Even in small countries in Central America, they were told to, to to please correct their narrative. So this narrative, now they are again building up, as Marshal Swab was saying in the elections. I can not guarantee the mindset, but I can tell you there will be no physical as far as intrusion into our territories comes. I can give you the word. The whole month will be of these threatening tones which you saw the army chief or the defense minister. I was also seeing, looking at the lie which the Indian chief of air staff was making. So these things will continue. If you remember that when this Pahalgam incident happened, our prime minister said very publicly that let's have international investigation. And he condemned what happened there. The Indians' knee-jerk reaction was not to listen to us, not to listen to reason, and then they attacked, and we all know what happened. This time, there will be only be these threatening statements coming out. I tell you why this is not welcome. If you look at the United States or the Arab other country, they are transfixed on what is going to happen in Gaza. They want to stop the war in Gaza. So they do not have that luxury of looking at Pakistan, India, which at times you read and they call us irresponsible nuclear states. India is a irresponsible nuclear state, that they do not have the time or the luxury to allow India to divert their attention from a much more serious issue which is going on, and that is to put an end to the war in Gaza. So this is something the Indian leadership, as they say, rising India. India, it says it is wants to become a regional power, and then it should become a mature
Right, Mr.
state
Kiani, this is
instead
a
of
very point that you have
issuing
already
immature
made.
statements.
I just want to take this discussion ahead from this very particular point. Since the entire world is actually aiming to end the sort of a conflict that has been going in Gaza, we've seen the Gaza peace plan by President Donald Trump as well. You already mentioned that Europeans and the Muslim world is also transfixed on that particular issue of utmost concern. There is an increased and a considerably increased role of Pakistan as far as the resolution of that particular conflict is concerned. So my point is that I'm being curious at this particular point in time, with all that attention of the international community at that particular issue, don't you think India could utilize this particular time or that diversion of the attention of the world community to that particular pressing issue to do something adventurous again?
I can just tell you something very interesting. The Pakistan-Saudi Defense Agreement, it is not some agreement in which these two countries want to attack some country. No, but it is a deterrent. India has very close economic ties with Saudi Arabia. I can tell you, it is there on ground. And it can ill afford to annoy Saudi Arabia at this time. I give you my word. Because in diplomacy, a lot of things happen behind the scenes, where countries would, behind the scenes go and meet the leadership and advise them not to take a certain action. So this is one role. If I tell you, this will only be rhetoric in which they will be threatening, sending, speaking on this TV and
So
issuing statements. But I
what
doubt
could be
very
the
much.
possible
I
motive
doubt very
behind
much.
this rhetoric? What could be the motive
The rhetoric
behind
is
this
the
particular
rhetoric.
rhetoric?
Rhetoric. There are two reasons. One is, you see uh, the what they had done. They had Moody's aggressive tones and others, and they lost the war. That 4 days conflict, they lost, and they have yet to give any explanation which satisfies the people in India. Lot of noises, lot of voices have been raised as to why. What did you do? Did you make the preparation? And what were the defense forces in which billions of rupees we have spent and did nothing? This is one thing which this complex this thing problem. Second is the elections which are happening. They are very. They have always used the elections to win the election, but I doubt very much this time that they will win the elections on this slogans. These are slogans, futile attempt to gain votes from people who know the truth, that India lost that 4 days conflict, and now to again go and attack Pakistan would be an exercise in futility.
I get your point. The number of other points I'll come back to you, take your understanding regarding those also. Mr. Kiani, please stay with us. Khan. Now, Indian Army Chief claims of India's restraint during their so-called Operation Sindoor, and also has made some allegations towards Pakistan, saying that if those things would be repeated, India as a country is fully prepared this time, and at this time it will not show the restraint that it showed during Operation Sindoor 1.0. Now that is what they are using. So that shows their intention that they are actually preparing for something of a sort of Operation Sindoor 2.0. And we're looking at that statement by Indian Prime Minister himself, that it still continues. So perhaps somewhere in the back of their mind, they are thinking of something, Operation Sindoor 2.0. Now, firstly, I want your understanding and assessment to set the record straight, who was that party who actually exercised restraint during that particular conflict between Pakistan and India?
Without doubt, it was Pakistan which showed restraint. The incident that we had in Pahalgam was a false flag operation. It was known to the world from day one. And Pakistan, like Ambassador Kiani said, always wanted a third party intervention, as well as, international investigation into the issue. And we would have not done it had, if there were some skeletons in our cupboard. So the world was very clear even before Marka-e-Haq started that Pakistan is not to be blamed for Pahalgam. Number two, we are the only two nuclear countries, Tehami, in the world who have contiguous borders, which means that the time of flight of the missiles, the nuclear missiles, will be between 3 to 5 minutes, a very little time for reaction to neutralize them. So it's going to be an Armageddon or a mad, what we say, mutually assured destruction. What is important is that India has understood it now, and they are not trying to, just through rhetoric, they are trying to just keep their own populists motivated or their morale high, that a conflict between two nuclear states can never be done in a conventional domain. It is always done in the sub-conventional domain, meaning thereby that you cannot have a full-fledged war between two nuclear powers, because sooner or later that war is going to turn into a nuclear exchange. Now, since 1998, this is the fourth time that India has, fought with us in the sub-conventional domain, and every time they are increasing the bar. This time, Pakistan always, in all the four conflicts, has shown restraint, but this time, Pakistan told them that if we raise the bar, it will be not possible for you to match us. And that is what India has learned on the 6th of May and on the 10th of May. And unfortunately for them, and fortunately for us, the things turned as we had expected them to be, and the whole world now understands. And that is why, since May, you see, there is a change in the attitude of the major powers with Pakistan, and mostly our friendly countries, the GCC, the Middle East, the Central Asian countries, and our neighboring countries. They all are now finding and seeing Pakistan as a security stabilizer, not as neither as a security guarantor or a security destabilizer. So I think.
And what about the recently signed mutual defense agreement between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, which was also alluded by Mr. Kiani as well? So given the fact of the economic ties between India and Saudi Arabia, so do you think India could venture at risking that particular economic tie with Saudi Arabia?
It is something like $64 billion that they receive from the Gulf countries as money that is sent back by their people every year. They cannot afford to do that, one. Number two, I would say that even Israel was rattled by this strategic defense deal between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan, and the sorry that we'll hear from Mr. Netanyahu is not because the Americans had asked them to say sorry. It was primarily because the things are spiraling out of control and the Gulf was getting united. And the one country on which the whole Gulf was relying as a security provider was Pakistan. Had this defense deal expanded, Israel's existence would have actually come into question. And that is why I think, being pragmatic politicians, they said it is better to say sorry than to have a big military force standing on our borders.
Right. Mr. Kiani, now looking at this by Indian Defense Minister, he threatens Pakistan that India's strong response, quote unquote, will change both Pakistan's history and geography. As far as the recent history is concerned, everybody knows around the world who has actually changed the history, actually written the history, and that was Pakistan by giving that bloody nose, downing their Rafale jets as well. Now, in terms of geography, that is what makes me think about this particular thing, where it comes to the long-standing dispute of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. And that requires a resolution as per the United Nations Security Council resolutions. Once those resolutions of the United Nations Security Council are implemented and there happens to be a free, impartial plebiscite in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, of course, that is going to also change the very geography of the area, because if that referendum or the right to self-determination happens, India, which claims that Kashmir happens to be its integral part, is actually going to go the other way around. So there is going to be a substantial change in terms of geographic losses to India in that sort of scenario. What's your understanding?
First of all, whenever I was abroad, I used to ask my counterparts from India, and then when I became ambassador also, I asked a simple mathematical question. I said that if you think there is no issue, Kashmir issue, then why you have more than 700,000 troops stationed in Indian occupied Kashmir? If you think there is no problem, remove them, and then you will see what is going to happen. Allow those people who are there to decide which way they want to go. You don't allow that. Violation of UN resolution has been going on for decades together now. So uh, my own opinion is, I think if India talks about geography, it's better that it should, you know, hold on to whatever it has. It has a lot of, these insurgency going on. If you look at these small states, Indian states around Bangladesh and now in Ladakh, things are happening which India should take control of it and forget about, you know, changing geography. Air Marshal Saeed is so right. If you look at the timings of a nuclear attack between two countries, less than 3 to 4 minutes. So they should, you know, use their head and not start like threatening, blaming. You lost a war, forget about it, move on. Countries move on. They don't get stagnant because stagnation stinks. Move on. Most important thing for these two countries, I would say to you, is peaceful coexistence. With such a long border, with nuclear weapons on each side, there are many other problems which these two countries can focus on, improving the health of the people, education, pollution, this environment, instead of these things. And India should take the lead in doing it. Forget about the wars and other things. What do they want to do with it? I don't understand. India has problem with all its small neighbors. I have been to all these countries, Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, you name it, and they have a problems. The problems of India, peaceful coexistence with all these countries. This is a dilemma which I tell you, Prime Minister Modi's government has faced and will continue to face until unless it changes its tone with these countries.
Right, I get your point. Mr. Kiani, very quickly, your understanding regarding, uh, uh, in this particular statement, Indian Army Chief has once again blamed Pakistan, hurled those unfounded allegations regarding terrorism. The world knows for a fact now, with a given track record of which country has been exporting terrorism, its tool as a state policy of perpetrating the terrorism not only in Pakistan but also on the Western soils. Now, could you just set the record straight just for these leaders who are continuously coming with these sort of statements, trying to pinpoint fingers towards Pakistan when there is no evidence at their hands? Rather, the facts and the concrete evidence actually points the entire situation towards India, and that is established now clearly internationally.
It reminds me of a student who goes to the examination center without preparation and say this question is out of course. The army chief should understand, accusing us of terrorism. We have been a victim of terrorism, not from today, since 1979, since the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan until today. Our sacrifices are unparalleled. We are fighting a war not against terrorism, not for us only, but globally for the whole world. We don't want any terrorist to either use our territory or use other territory. Every single day, if you look at it, we are paying a price for being patient, for being fighting a war based on principles that terrorism destroys countries, terrorism has no place. So we are a victim, and India should try to understand its own record. Canada, USA are on record of telling Indians that they have used these embassy, their missions there to kill the anybody who speaks against India, especially the Sikhs. They have killed Sikhs leaders, and we only recently now I was reading about the United States having arrested two, three Indians who were planning attack their own nationals. So I think they should put their record straight.
I
Don't
get your
blame
point. Mr.
us,
Kiani, please stay
blame
with us for
themselves.
the second segment in which we'll be taking your view regarding as to the viability of the President Trump's Gaza peace plan. Air Marshal, quickly, as to when India accuses of Pakistan increasing its military presence, especially along the Sir Creek, and also building the infrastructure over there. Overall, if we look at India's build-up of the infrastructure on those lines, as well as increasing the military presence, and also investing a huge sum of money as far as acquiring those defense equipments is concerned. Could you give us a little bit of light on that?
Actually, Tehami, nothing very significant has happened in that area. You know, India, like a crying baby, is just trying to find reasons. You know, where the air chief is trying to find reasons in KPK, their defense minister is trying to find reasons in Sir Creek. Now, Sir Creek is area which is only 90 kilometers long, and and we are controlling nearly half and half of each. No country has built any main structures over there, because in that area main structures cannot be built. Yeah. But yes, you know, it is an area which is disputed, and it is Pakistan which has even offered for a third party mediation. We have said that we are ready, that although we have documents through the Bombay Accord, that which shows that the whole Sir Creek area actually belongs to Pakistan. Similarly, in the Simla agreement, the lines that have been drawn, they are very clear, and neither we have any confusion, neither India has any confusion. And all this, you know, loud mouthing is actually being done just to create an hysteria or to keep its own people under, you know, some type of...
Unfortunately, we are short of time, Air Marshal. Okay. Khan, what's your understanding regarding to the viability of President Trump's Gaza peace plan? Of course, there were major 8 Arab and Muslim countries which were part of the negotiations, and the consultations were happening, and there was a draft proposal which was shared with these countries. Later on, when the presser of President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu happened, that peace plan which was unveiled was not in accordance to the changes and the amendments made by the Muslim countries, and that is what Foreign Minister has said, that it is not inclusive of all those amendments. How do you look at the viability of that particular peace plan? Do you see it succeeding?
Actually, you know, every person in the world today wants only 2 things. One, that the killing of the Palestinians by the hands of the Israelis must stop immediately, and all the children and the ladies who are there, who are dying of famine, should be provided food. These are the only 2 things that I think there is no person in the world today which is praying for that.
Right.
Unfortunately, Israel is not a country that has any respect for human rights. The sequence of events which our foreign minister told us today in the National Assembly, they are substantiated by the claims by the Egyptian as well as the Qatari foreign minister too, that the sequence of events happened in that way. Yeah. You know, all the Muslim countries are agreeing, you know, to have a ceasefire with Israel on the basis of a 2-state theory. Right. Now, that was the basic cornerstone on which the peace accord should have been made. Yeah. And the peace accord that was agreed upon in that meeting with President Trump was primarily, you know, having all the aspersions of the Palestinians.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when Mr. The son-in-law of President Trump, Jared Kushner, and the others, they had a meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu, the whole draft was changed. And in it, the initial welcoming tweets that we saw from all the 8 Muslim capitals,
And that was before
primarily on the basis of the meeting that they had with Mr. Trump,
Yeah.
and that they had hoped that the meeting would be, the plan would be incorporating all those points which they have highlighted. But like they say in English that, you know, the devil lies in the details.
Yeah.
So when the people actually started reading the wordings of this peace plan, they realized that it was a peace plan not forwarded by America, it was a peace plan forwarded by Israel.
Right.
Because everything that was being demanded was from Hamas. But nothing is in this peace plan is being demanded from the Israelis. And if you read point number 3, Tehami, it says very clearly, the moment both the parties agree, the battle lines will be frozen. Meaning thereby that Israel is going to continue to stay in Gaza while they are expecting that Hamas must hand over, their weapons. They should simply vanish from Gaza and not be there.
Yeah.
You know, where does it happen in the world that, it is a one-sided peace plan that is coming up? So I am really very disappointed, in this draft. And I hope now that with the people getting more educated after reading it and the anger that is building up in the Muslim streets, the governments are coming under pressure.
Not only in Muslim countries, streets,
Everywhere.
but also everywhere in European countries we have seen
After
those massive demonstrations.
what they have done with the flotilla,
Yeah.
we saw that immediate demonstrations, they erupted in most of the Western cities. The important thing is, we must all realize that peace can only come through justice.
Yeah.
And if America does not do justice in this case, I think this is an ideal opportunity for them to tell it to the world that they are a big and a just superpower. And they must use their influence with Israel to bring peace and tranquility in that region.
Now, during the National Assembly address, the foreign ministers also talked very categorically regarding Pakistan's continuous and a consistent and a principled position regarding as to the Palestinian territories, the two-state solution also. He has also referred to that very joint statement with those Arab and Muslim countries after that particular meeting with President Donald Trump, which specifically talks about creating a path for a just peace on the basis of a two-state solution under which Gaza is fully integrated with the West Bank in a Palestinian state, in accordance with the international law as key to achieving regional stability and security. Now, the viability of the two-state solution, we had seen in a video statement right after this particular plan was unveiled by President Donald Trump, and during that particular joint press, Prime Minister Netanyahu was along with him. He also expressed his support to that particular plan. Later on, he came up with a video statement saying that Israeli troops are going to remain there in the territory, and also he does not accept any Palestinian state, and he said absolutely not to that. So, I mean, how this two-state solution is going to turn out to be into a reality, given such obstinacy or stubbornness when it comes to Israelis?
Two things, Tehami. First of all, President Trump must have a one-on-one session with Prime Minister Netanyahu and tell him that peace in the region cannot come till the time there is coexistence between Palestinians and the Israelis.
Right.
It has to be drummed into him or whatever it is, but it must be made clear. Secondly, there is a big lesson for all the Muslims, in what is happening in Gaza these days. The lesson is that if you are not strong, militarily, politically, economically, then unjust solutions will be thrust upon you, like the one that we are seeing now. If the Muslims can get together under the banner of the OIC, which is the second biggest multilateral organization in the world, and in hand with the United Nations, we must put a peacekeeping force over there of the Muslims, Muslim countries, and if the other non-Muslim countries they join it, it is better. And then we must implement peace through force. Remember, Israel has come into that mindset, Tehami, that it cannot be controlled through logic. You know, Israelis are on a rampage. They think we can, you know, make fools of anyone in the world. We can do whatever we want, and we have America standing behind us. With every passing day, with every passing moment, the position of America is getting questionable and questionable, because the world looks at America as a great country with a great leader, Mr. Trump, you know, who is supposed to bring peace into this world. Now, peace with every day, because of the actions of Israel, peace is becoming a faraway thought.
Yeah,
now.
it's becoming elusive. Air Marshal retired Saeed Khan, senior analyst, thank you very much for taking time out for Views on News. Really appreciate that. It's time for a short break, and after the break, we'll be talking about as to the latest statements which have come from Pakistan's finance minister. For that, stay tuned. Welcome back to Views on News. Pakistan's Finance Minister Mohammad Aurangzeb has addressed the Pakistan Business Summit in Peshawar, in which he has ruled out the need for seeking assistance from the United Nations for the flood relief, saying that Pakistan has ample resources available within its development budget of 4.3 trillion rupees for rescue and relief efforts. During that particular address, the Finance Minister has also counted as to what sort of improvements on the economic front have been, which include the reduction in the policy rate, forex reserves improvement, stability in exchange rate, and the remittances have also increased to a considerable extent. He has at the same time highlighted two major challenges confronting Pakistan, that are the climate change and the population growth. Straight away, bringing in Mr. Humayun Iqbal Shami into the discussion. He is the president of Pakistan Economic Forum, to understand when it comes to Pakistan's need of the funds, when it comes to the devastation that comes from the floods and also the relief and rescue efforts. Mr. Shami, looking at this particular statement, the finance minister says that there is an ample pool of resources when it's to dealing with the devastation of flood in terms of rescue and relief efforts. What's your analysis regarding that quickly, and regarding when he says that the two major challenges confronting Pakistan, that is climate change and population growth?
Thank you very much. It's a very brave statement, I would say. That first time Pakistan has shown that it has a resilient economy and it has got its economic muscles. Obviously, there have been a huge area was under flood, and it was in the main part and the fertile land of Punjab mostly. So, but as Punjab government also is allocating part of its budget, and probably they have some surplus in the developmental budget, big. And in some other places they can, I have been saying in past that we can save a lot of money, you know, by curtailing our expenses, you know, particularly what we are saying like SOEs and, you know, DISCOs and BSP program. And now, you know, we have to see all these things.
So do we understand there has to be a holistic interprovincial coordination when it comes to these resources for the rescue and relief efforts to deal with the devastation of floods?
No, it has to be. It has to be. Ideal situation is that it should be, but politically definitely there are different parties in every province almost. So they have different views. But you know, at the end of the day, obviously everybody has to play its own role. And I think the provinces and federal government can manage it, but there is some definitely international aid is coming up, you know, but it's not in a big way, because Pakistan officially has not asked for it, so it is not possible for the rest of the UN.
Yet there happens to be a responsibility on the international community, whatever the pledges they made when we talk specifically about the floods of year 2022, they need to be actually fulfilled and met. What about when Finance Minister highlights the two key challenges to Pakistan, the population growth and climate change? Of course, the climate change, we've talked about it, the number of strategies which have already been formulated. What about the population growth? What do you suggest, what are your recommendations very quickly regarding as to what sort of policy should be formulated in order to address this particular challenge?
Basically, you know, the population growth is a big challenge right from 50s, you know. It is a big challenge, and Pakistan is among those countries which are having the highest fertility rate in the world. I think about 2.5%. plus, So this is a big challenge because it is eating up our own resources, not only this, rather it's eating up because last year our GDP growth was around 2.5 and at the same time we had a growth rate at 2.5. So at practically.
What is required at the moment to deal with this issue? In immediate terms?
That's good. There's actually the problem most problem happen after the 18th Amendment. When in 18th Amendment we have seen that the population welfare has been devolved, this is a devolved subject. It is to the provinces now. And the provinces, they have their own way to think, like to get more share in an NFC award, getting the more seat in the assemblies and the more quota and everything. So they, I think.
A quick answer regarding what should be done by them at this particular point in time.
No, they have to, everybody has to take, but the thing is basic responsibility lies with the provinces now, So the federal government can give only the suggest all these things. It can ask them, it can give them but it cannot give them a target, it cannot force them how they to implement it. That is a problem. And then that there's still, there has been a lot of movement from the Afghanistan, people used to come there.
I get your point, Mr. Humayun, Iqbal, Shami, when it comes to dealing with the population growth. There is a considerable responsibility on the shoulders of the provinces. President of Pakistan Economic Forum, thank you very much for being with us on the show tonight. Really appreciate that. With that, we'll come to the end of today's episode. Till the next one, take good care of yourselves.
यार इसे विला ਨੂੰ ਸਹੀ ਕਰਾਓ ਇਹ ਲੌਕ ਸਹੀ ਕਰਾਓ ਇਹ ਸਾਰਾ ਸੈਟਿੰਗ ਡਿਜ਼ਾਈਨ ਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਇਹ ਲੌਕ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਨਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਤਿੰਨ ਦਫਾ ਹੀ ਲਿਆ तीनों दफा फिर लॉक इसे विला ਨੂੰ ਨਾ ਚੇਂਜ ਕਰਾ ਐਵੇਂ ਪਤਾ ਕਿ ਹੋਰ ਕੋਈ ਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਰਾ ਜੀ ਗੱਲ ਦੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਚੁੱਪ ਚੁੱਪ ਕਰਨ ਦਾ ਫਾਇਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ जब दिया था स्पोर्ट्स वाली को हैं उस पे वो फोम लगा हुआ था